Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Small Steps Academy. And in the previous lesson, we studied about poverty. Okay, I gave you the introduction of poverty and I gave you the definition, and then we discussed types of poverty. First was absolute poverty, which is also known as destitution. Second is relative, which is relative to the country. Okay, subjective. And we also studied that these two are one dimensional method, that either we are taking income into consideration or consumption into consideration. Okay, so these are basically one dimensional. Then we studied about multi-dimensional poverty, in which we have taken several factors such as poor health, lack of education, inadequate living standard. Okay, so there is a multi-dimension in this. Okay, there are many factors that are determining this multi-dimensional poverty. That is why it is also called multi-dimensional. Okay, and there is one index also, that is multi-dimensional poverty index, also known as MPI. Okay, there is an index of multidimensional poverty, and we take three dimension into this. Okay, there can be many dimension, but we take three basic dimension in this index. Okay, because we have to cut down and take some basic dimension which are necessary or required according to the country or the economy. Okay, so basic dimensions of this which we take is health, education, and standard of living. Okay, these are the three basic dimensions which we take in this index. Now if I talk about indicators, that what indicates the health, what are the factors that affect the health, and or how we can extract out the data from health, how can we say that this one is healthy and it is not getting the full healthcare facility and all. So the indicators for health are nutrition and child mortality. Okay, and similarly the indicator for education will be years of schooling and children enrolled. Okay, that how many years have you done schooling and all. Okay, so there are parameters such that if you are above that parameter you are not poor, and if you are below it then you will be considered as poor. Okay, so these are just indicated. And for standard of living, we take it cooking fuel, toilet water, electricity, floor, assets. Okay, so these were the indicators which I just tell you. Okay, so now these were all the indicators. So now if we want to talk about poverty measures, we will see the intensity of poverty and the head count ratio, that how much of the population is below the poverty line. And these were the indicators which I tell you, and from all this we calculate this MPI, multi-dimensional index. So this index is important since it covers the it is multi-dimensional, and it covers other aspect also. It's not only one dimensional, that which either it's considered income or consumption. Okay, so it is considering other factors also, which are basic requirements of the society. Okay, and this index can also be used to study changes over the period of time. So now if I talk about 2015 MPI, there was multidimensional poverty index, which came at 2015, and it counts at 1.6 billion people as multidimensional poor, with the largest global share in South Asia, and largest share in South Asia, and the highest intensity. Wait, let me write it. Largest share and highest intensity at sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, Africa. So now we are going to study our next topic, that is measuring of poverty, that how do we measure the poverty. So if I talk about conventionally, poverty is measured by defining a threshold level of expenditure, or you can say income, required to purchase goods and services necessary to satisfy basic needs at minimal socially acceptable level. Okay, and this threshold level of expenditure is called as what you call as poverty line, and the proportion of population that is living below it is called the poverty ratio. Okay, so that's how we used to measure the poverty conventionally, that we set the threshold level of expenditure, okay, and which is required to purchase basic needs, okay, basic goods, and which is basic needs of yours. And if you are not able to purchase that basic products, okay, then you come in the category of poor, or you come under the poverty. Okay, basically it is a line. Let's say it is 50 rupees. This is the expenditure, and if you are above it, then you are not poor, and if you are below it, then you are poor. So this is the poverty line. Okay, and the proportion of all population which is living below this line is known as poverty ratio. It's just basic. Okay, so poverty line and the poverty ratio have three potential uses now. Okay, so what can be the uses of this? First, it can help in identification of poor. Okay, it was the basic one. Second, what it can do? It can see that the allocation of expenditures on anti-poverty program across the region. That means it helps the government to decide that how much fund you should allocate to eradicate the poverty. Okay, and the third and the last one is that it helps in measuring and tracking poverty over time and across the region. Okay, now in India, identification of poor is done by the state government based on the information of BPL, below poverty line. Okay, which is the census of the latest social economic castes. Okay, and now if I talk about allocation of expenditure, second point, so it can be also done using instrument other than the poverty ratio. For example, the expenditure on the provision of housing across state can be done according to the proportion of households without houses in the state. So there can be other indicators also. It's all subjective. You can take any indicator according to the economy and the country you are living and the subject of area which you are studying. So from this we can say that the tracking poverty over time and space is the principal objective behind the measurement of poverty. Okay, and if I talk about current official measure, okay, there are different measures like Tendulkar poverty line, and there are other also. Okay, so it's basically dependent on the government, that whichever they are using. Okay, and these are just the different poverty line. They are just indicating the different poverty line because their study of area is different and their methods of studying poverty is different. Okay, so I guess earlier there was the Tendulkar poverty line, but this poverty line has been controversial, with many observers criticizing as being too low, that the poverty line is too low, that this this controversy led the previous government to appoint the Rangarajan committee, which recommend higher rural and urban poverty line. Okay, so it's all dependent on the government, and you should check the internet for the current information. Okay, always check internet for the current information. This was just the example which I am giving you. So I guess this was all for today's class, because in the next class we will be discussing the historical aspect and approaches of poverty measurement in India, and there are many points, so it's a fresh topic. So I think I will start it on next class. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any doubts, you can mention in the comment section. Okay guys, bye.